by the blood of our people are your lands kept safe.
I see in your eyes the same fear that will take the heart of me.
So do all who live to see such times.
By all that you hold dear, this good earth.
There's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting.
Welcome back, everyone. We are, of course, talking about Rings of Power. However, we're talking about Season 2. I know it's a long ways off, but we have some leaked details and picks to go through, so I thought we would kind of jump in and discuss a little bit. And the first one is one that you had been worried about when we heard that they were moving locations from New Zealand back to the UK. They're going to have to rebuild a lot of these sets. Are they going to look right, or is it going to look like they moved locations? Yeah. So we're seeing some of it here. They're rebuilding the town that was destroyed by the volcano erupting. Some of these other picks.
I think Mordor, it might work out because it's going to look sufficiently different anyway.
Yeah.
From what they were showing us, so it might be okay.
But the big problem potentially now, a lot of these
the grand landscape shots I'm
Yeah.
worried about. Like New Zealand was perfect.
especially like I personally didn't like these scenes, but the horse riding scenes from that Galadriel does both. With...
I mean, one of the best scenes in the whole series, and it's kind of sad. but what but I think even the people who really hate the show agree that the montage of seeing the Harfoots traveling and seeing all the landscape, they liked that.
Yes.
But they okay, you like New Zealand. But...
Yeah. I mean, like that's like the whole joke about the original trilogy is that Peter Jackson was just filming like a New Zealand tourist commercial and then like had a bunch of guys role play because there's so much shots of just flying over mountains and just like of them walking through these mountainous terrains. What I will say though is there's two big scenes that I personally hated in the first season that will potentially you won't be able to redo them, and that's when Galadriel's riding on a horse. I hated whenever she was riding on a horse because they always slow-moed it for no reason and how had this music going on as if like something important's happening. Now maybe I just don't know the connection that Galadriel has with her horse. They didn't really dive into it that much. You get more of a connection between Gandalf and his horse Shadowfax than you do like Galadriel. I don't know what's going on there, but they like slow-mo her horse riding for so long. I just don't get it. Like, what's going on? But anyway, you can't do those scenes anymore because those are all in that sort of landscape that you're talking about, and we're just not going to get those. And I think hopefully we're done with the Harfoots. So now we just gotta basically time jump or even like just jump the wizard to the east so that all of his scenes.
I don't think we're gonna be done with the Harfoots. I think we're gonna follow Poppy still.
Oh no! Why? We can't. There's no reason. They don't do anything in this age.
But maybe we'll see like how Poppy builds herself to be the new leader of the Harfoots, because they're kind of hinting at that, her being like the new.
I know. What is she gonna? Are we gonna say like Sam Gamgee is descended from her or something? Like what? Like what are we doing here? Let's frickin' stop this. We don't need them. Everyone hates them. Even you and I hate them, and we were their biggest fans to start.
But maybe Poppy can reform them if she becomes their leader. She'll, we'll have a huge like a Harfoot renaissance.
We no longer leave people to die. we help people. And we stay put. We find a little place and we stay put and we call it the Shire. I mean, I don't know what to say about these guys. Like I don't they shouldn't have been there in the first place, but yeah, I understood that the showrunners thought, "Hey, we need to show some similarity to the original trilogy and have some hobbits." But the hobbits are not in the entire trilogy. They're in it for just the intro, just to kind of get you into a groove, and then you're immediately thrown out of that. That's the problem with these Harfoots, is that they've overstayed their welcome. We don't want to just stay with them. We want to move on and have to adapt to our new surroundings. So I think they need to go. I think we have enough going on now that we don't need to keep cutting back to the Harfoots. Do you actually want them in? Like, I know you're saying you don't think we're done with them, but do you actually want like a whole episode or like parts of episodes dedicated to Poppy reforming the Harfoot society? Like, is that?
Well, I mean, maybe we don't have to show it, but maybe if Nori and the stranger return, we'll find out that Poppy's kind of taken over, and yeah, we don't leave people behind anymore.
How about this? I'll give you this. How about this? We don't show them for like 5 seasons, and we go at the very end of the 5th season. The stranger comes back with Nori, and we see Poppy in charge, and that's when she says, "We don't leave people behind," and that's the end. How about that? That way, we don't need to see them throughout the remaining seasons. We get a nice bookend of the Harfoots. How about that? Because I can't just watch Harfoots bumbling around. I can't do it. I thought I would love.
Well,
them,
yeah,
but
there's
they're
not
just
a lot
dumb.
of there's not a lot of purpose right now, but who knows what they'll do.
No, but we know they do nothing. That's the problem that people already have. So to continue to show Harfoots potentially doing something when we know they do nothing is problematic to people. So I think you're kind of right. They might kind of jump to them, but I think they take a huge step back, and they're barely in it because what are they gonna do? There's nothing for them to do. They can't be fighting battles. They can't be like sabotaging Sauron. Like they have to stay out of everything. Elves can't be going there and interacting with. Like they can't do anything. So
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah,
like
you're right.
like literally they can never have overlap with any of our main characters. Maybe the dwarves. Maybe, I don't know. I think the dwarves have enough going on. I actually think the dwarves is probably the best part of the whole thing, in terms of like, there's a mystery there about whether or not they know about the Balrog. There's also a mystery there about who actually is now in line of succession to the current living.
Yeah, well,
king.
maybe we'll meet during the 4th has a brother. They mention. Maybe we'll get some
yeah.
character from
So like, yeah, there's a lot going on there, and I think that's the most interesting part of the show for people right now. So I wouldn't risk botching that up with Harfoots, but yeah. So there's a quote here that I think we want to. Do you want to read this quote to everyone? Because I think.
the one I read.
Yeah.
So, like Tony Soprano or Walter White, they're speaking about Halbrand or Sauron.
Yeah.
Like Tony Soprano or Walter White, he's evil, but complexly evil. We felt like if we did that in season 1, he'd overshadow everything else. So the first season is like Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight is the next movie with Sauron maneuvering out in the open. We're really excited. Season 2 has a canonical story. There may well be viewers who are like, this is a story we were hoping to get in season 1. And season 2, we're giving it to them.
Yeah, so I think that last line is gonna rub people the wrong way. But the weird thing is the Batman comparison, because I still don't know who they mean is the comparable to Batman. I think they're talking about
Sauron is Batman.
So you think they're saying Sauron is Batman? I think they're saying Sauron is the Joker, and
Galadriel's Batman.
yeah. But either way, I don't understand the comparison, and I really hate when people compare their characters.
But I've never really regarded Walter White as being evil. I mean, he's just he's like chaotic neutral, maybe.
Yeah, I think we were kind of talking about this off camera, but like, he doesn't go out of his way to harm people the way.
It was the one. I mean, I was saying the one thing that he did that really disturbed me was letting Jesse's girlfriend asphyxiate when he could have helped her.
That was one of his big steps on his path to basically being apathetic and not caring.
But other than that, he seemed like he seemed okay to me. Like
I mean, he still allowed certain people to get hurt and didn't seem to care, and I think that's maybe why people some people consider him evil. I do think he's not a good guy, and I don't view him as an anti-hero. So at that point, I'm kind of running out of options. Where does he fall on good guy, bad guy? I would say he is close to the bad guy, but you're right. Complexly evil. It's not like he's a mastermind of villainy. He's.
But if we get a complexly evil Sauron, he's like a Walter White who's like not evil, but just kind of self-interested and apathetic. That's not really Sauron.
No, and then we really run into the problems that George R.R. Martin talks about in terms of like, you know, we're basically hoping for genocide of like orcs. Like that's what we're watching and that's what we're hoping for. Once you start to get into like they're not evil, it starts to go like, oh, then wait a minute, are the elves the evil ones? Have they been like kind of polluting this whole thing and making us kill orcs and Sauron because they have their own agenda? So like, yeah, I agree. I think there's a weird comparison here, and Sauron is supposed to be evil. Like he's supposed to not only be for himself, but like wants to hurt others. Like there's an element of almost enjoyment in harming others that needs to go into this character, which we did not get yet. Like literally he kind of played that really like nice. Like he had moments where he could have hurt people a lot more than he did. So already I'm still confused why he saved Galadriel. I know you've tried to explain it to me, but like did he know what was going to happen? Like, did he literally know step by step the entire outline of what was about to happen? Him saving Galadriel.
No, I don't think so, because he really did want to stay on Numenor and just be a blacksmith.
Yeah, so that's, but
I think I think he saved Galadriel just because, I mean, he's been on a raft with a bunch of humans for so long, and he's kind of a demigod, and having an elf there is like slightly closer to him.
He was lonely.
He saved her because he was lonely, but also because, I mean, she could potentially be useful to him in the future. So you getting like a life debt from her, maybe that matters.
True.
I don't know.
True. That's sort of the way that you and other people have explained it, and I'm trying to like use that to help me explain it, but the Sauron I know doesn't get lonely. It doesn't need Galadriel to like you know what I mean? Like I just view this guy as being a bit more.
But he's complexly evil.
He's yeah. He saves Galadriel, then wants to marry her, and then is evil because she said no.
But that was you're reminding me, that was a line wasn't that a line in Batman Begins? I haven't seen that movie in so long. But Batman is like Liam Neeson. It's Liam Neeson who's the bad guy in that, right?
Yeah. So Liam Neeson trains him, but then
Liam Neeson's about to die, and he's like, Batman's like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you. And then he died. Then the character died.
Hey, that would be a good line for Sauron to say to Galadriel as she's drowning from her own stupidity.
I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you.
She tied herself to a mast. I know we can't keep harping on that, but that's one of the...
for some reason the mast sinks because wood floats.
It was tied to an anchor.
Yeah.
She tied herself to a mast with a rope of an anchor so that no matter what, she was going down.
Yeah.
Anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, so these guys are saying that this whole idea was this first season was not to showcase Sauron, despite the whole show being guess who Sauron is, and everyone getting it correct. So I think it was just kind of handled very strangely. If you were gonna do this sort of like, I don't want Sauron to overshadow, then just don't include a character that is supposed to be Sauron. I would say just don't include it, but he ended up being a huge part of the show, so he kind of did overshadow everything.
Right. I mean, okay, I think we're getting off topic. This article is about the new set or something.
Well, it's about some details about season 2, and basically now Sauron is.
Oh, sure,
known.
sure.
Yes.
Well, just to go further off topic, but still in the same general vicinity where we are. I think there's another quote that I can't remember which one of the showrunners said it, but they didn't think the idea of an Anatar Lord of Gifts just showing up and the elves falling for it was believable. So they wanted to go a completely different direction and have a Halbrand and
Okay.
they didn't think the elves would possibly. How could the elves fall for that? That's basically what they were thinking.
Yeah. So the elves then end up falling for some guy showing up, being a better smith than their own Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
He literally solves all the problems they have the moment he arrives. He's like, "Oh, I have an idea on how you can use Mithril. I've never done this before, and I'm just a lowly human blacksmith that has no idea what I'm doing. But here's what you need to do." And anyway, yeah, I get what they're going for, and they are trying to shake things up a little bit. I just thought it was kind of weird how it all unfolded. Like, there was no plot. It was sort of random happenings, and Sauron just kind of kept going with it. And then the joke being like, okay, Sauron then wanted to marry Galadriel or whatever, and she says no. And then he's like, "What's it? I'm going full evil mode now. I got rejected by the hot elf girl. I saved her life. She owes me."
I saved your life. What do you mean? It's total incel.
Yeah, and that's why everyone's now. I mean, we'll get to them in another video, but that's why people are now rooting for Sauron, and it's kind of funny.
He's
yes.
got all the Anons cheering for him.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments down below on this battle in Rings of Power. Which side are you on? Are you on Team Galadriel or are you on Team Sauron? What I will say, and this is something you and I talked about, they set up Galadriel to be a not likable character. I thought they did it deliberately. Now I'm not too sure because we're now supposed to choose like who's right in all this. I'm still on team like Elrond and dwarfs. Like that's where my focus is, because Galadriel is so unlikable and goes against everything that anyone tells her. She's just basically doesn't want to do anything the way you're supposed to do it. Like, she doesn't want to listen to the king of the elves. She doesn't want to listen to her friend who has like her best in fact, they even gaslight us, and like Elrond's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I put you on that ship. That was supposed to be a reward." I am so confused why he's apologizing for getting her a reward for being a bad leader and getting mutinied. Like, he talks the king into getting her a reward.
And you shouldn't be sorry, because exactly what the king said happened. Having her loose will accidentally stir the fire.
And it did. She brought Sauron to
we were totally right to put you on that boat. Why did you jump off?
Yeah.
you jumping off the boat caused all our problems.
Yeah,
if you'd gone to the Undying Lands, Halbrand would be probably eaten by that worm thing, to be honest.
Yeah. And no way Numenor's picking him. I mean, maybe they pick him up and then he just becomes a lowly blacksmith on Numenor. Maybe he then corrupts it and we get the actual story of the fall of Numenor.
That's true. Maybe the whole thing would have been better without Galadriel at all. We would have had, I don't know.
Honestly, you could, if you reshoot this, but just leave out the part where Galadriel meets Sauron, Halbrand, and literally have Halbrand get picked up. He goes to Numenor, corrupts Numenor. Galadriel just, I guess, goes, like, doesn't go to Valinor, but swims back on her own, and then kind of goes to make her own little elf army. That's essentially what happened. So, like, that's sort of what we get later on in the original trilogy. So, yeah, these sets at least look like they are going to look familiar, but like you said on the outset of this, are we going to be able to get those sweeping landscape shots anymore? Maybe we just don't have them. That might kind of be weird, though, because I kind of expect that in a Lord of the Rings epic show or movie. Like, I expect those sweeping landscapes, so that might kind of be weird. It might be it might take a little getting used to. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below where your thoughts are at. Are you guys kind of hoping for Galadriel still? Some people are hoping for Sauron. Or what do you think about the rest of the plots going forward? The dwarves, the Harfoots, the wizard, all that kind of stuff. Let us know in the comments, and we're going to reach out to you guys later on.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell. Goodbye.
A random analogy.